Hey everyone, it's Owen. Today I'm joined with a special guest, Ariel. We're talking about the new Tern GSD Gen 3. How do you feel about that, Ariel? I think Ariel's a little sleepy. But we wanted to quickly touch on some of the updates and changes, largely because the GSDs have been one of our kind of like family-friendly, best-selling bikes. It's all around the city. You probably have heard, a lot of people find out about our shop just because they're looking for GSDs, and we tend to be the place that has them, right? All right, so we're gonna get going through the website a little bit because they're not here yet. We're waiting, coming soon. But of course, it's a good time to start researching if you're maybe planning a new bike purchase in the coming months. So one thing I would stress, just because there's a Gen 3 doesn't mean the Gen 2 is bad. We still will see a probably pretty significant amount of time where we have a carryover and keep having more Gen 2s in stock. There are some carryover things about the Bosch system that we still are seeing on the most up-to-date version. So you still have the top quality cargo line system, so worth kind of considering both if you're not sure. So first things first, let's kind of take a quick look at the GSD's homepage. You wanna have a little lie down? You tuckered out? All right, settle in, let's get into it. So the Tern GSD, they've shifted a little bit. Formerly Get Stuff Done, they've gone a little saucy and maybe changed their verbiage a little bit. The name is still GSD. They are family friendly and they did censor themselves. So big changes, see the models day and night. Ooh, lots of fun stuff to do there. Let's take a look. So obviously these are cargo bikes. Obviously there's a lot of content surrounding kids. Kids with cargo bikes is very natural, it's very normal. It's probably the #1 reason people shop for cargo bikes, and the Tern system is fantastic for families. So here we're gonna take a quick look at kind of some of the variables we can do. So this is a great way to highlight all of these little changes. So you can see what it looks like to carry 2 kids, a single kid, and this is kind of showcasing a few of the different proprietary accessories. You can even carry an adult, of course, rain covers, sun protection, dogs, or towing. I think towing is probably one of the most underutilized accessories from a lot of our customers. There's actually a little tow kit you can add to the back of a GSD, that same portion that you can technically add like a trailer to, and you can take the front wheel off your kid's bike, ride to a space, and then in turn tow the bike to and from that space. It's a really great feature. I think it's underutilized, but I always like to tell people about it because it's a really cool little add-on you can do. I think that's another aspect. These bikes are designed to grow with you and your family. So it's a very cool way you can kind of, buy something and have it build and grow with you over time. All right. So of course we still see space-saving design, that vertical parking, a lot of the same design language we've seen. So this is technically the 3rd version, but the big new update is that smart system from Bosch is now an option. It's not on every single model, it's on half of the new models, but we'll get a little more to that shortly. Of course, commitment to safety, super high quality testing on the frame, and of course UL certified for the battery, so incredibly safe. Braking is a big change as well. So we'll touch on the smart system now, I suppose. We have a GSD R14. We also have the GSD S10. Those both are the smart system equipped new models from Tern. So big differences there. Because we're using a smart system, we're gonna see the kiosk display, which is kind of Bosch's premium display. Nice, bright, lively colors right in the middle of your bars. And the added benefit here, both of these models come with Bosch's ABS system, which is a fantastic option. So ABS, just like a motorbike or a car, just about every car on the road has ABS. And what that means is it's a pulsing action that the brakes perform very quickly to avoid locking up the wheel. Small wheels, powerful brakes can mean a lot of clamping force and a lot of ability to lock up the wheel. And I think people often misunderstand the benefit of a disc brake. brake, where the disc brake is actually going to be helping you modulate your overall control. So you don't have only much stronger brakes, but you have kind of more variability, and especially with a loaded bike, cargo bike, a great option. So as I reiterated there, R14 and S10, R14 being the roll-off version, 14 being the 14-speed roll-off hub, and then the S10 would be a Shimano 10-speed variant. Both of those ABS, both of those have smart system. So, big updates across all 4 new models. So there's going to be 2 new other models called the P10 or the P00. Those are just going to use the System 2, the same system we've been using all along. It's always called the Bosch eBike System 2. GSD version 2 is going to be using the same system as the P10 or the P00. But what's all new on all 4 variants is going to be an increased rider size. Not only that, but increased capacity overall. So higher max gross vehicle weight, higher potential rider weight, and also larger riders can fit. So previously, the max potential height for a rider was going to be 6'5". This has now been increased to 6'7". I also would point out, take this with a grain of salt, because proportions do vary. This is a pretty accurate estimation, but I would always recommend, especially if you're getting close to that absolute maximum height, probably do a test ride, trial fit before you commit to this bike system. So the increased capacity of the total bike is actually moving from previously 200 kilograms or 440 pounds up to 210 kilograms, and that would convert to 463 pounds. So over 20 pounds added capacity added to these frames, so that's fantastic, totally good. And then the rider weight capacity is now 287 pounds. So I think that is probably one of the most notable big changes. The other thing that's going to be changed in the whole lineup, all 4 new models, it's going to have a slightly longer wheelbase. But the other little add-on I really like is the Stow deck. So if you've seen on both the Aurochs and the Quick Haul Long, that is going to be that folding wide deck kind of feature. Oh, Ariel, you like the wide decks too? What I really love about that is the wide decks previously were a very handy cargo feature, and there's also the double wide decks as an add-on. But what's really great about the Stow decks is that they fold up and they get out of the way when you don't need them. Because I think that was the hindrance of people using some of those wide decks. They kind of make the arguably very small but capable bike kind of feel bulky. It can kind of clip you in the heel if you're not paying attention while you're walking the bike. And that's just like something you have to kind of get used to. But with these Stow decks, they fold up small and it becomes kind of like an obvious accessory you're going to want, because the odd time you have added cargo, you can open those up, use them. They're also good for footholds for your passengers. So it's just overall a really great feature. Really happy to see that in the newest iteration of this bike. One thing you may also notice if you take a look at this is previously the GSD was kind of all one frame. The frame and all that integrated rack space was all one. They have moved to being a separate piece. They've actually obviously increased the strength, so it's stiffer overall. Of course, still has suspension, so a lot of carryover, a lot of great features that are maintaining. And I think the thing to think about here is there still will be time where we see the version 2 GSDs. They're still fantastic bikes, don't get me wrong. Arguably, for taller riders, the GSD Gen 3 is a clear improvement, a little extra height, a little extra weight capacity. But the reality is unless you are in that height, both GSD versions will work great for just about anyone. That's been perpetually our best-selling model for many reasons, and I do believe they've made nice changes. In a more extreme sense, a separated rear rack, if it was ever damaged, I would imagine more so from if you're shipping it or if it fell off of something high and you bent the rack somehow. It's nice that it is a secondary part because it just means it's not tied to the main frame. Honestly, these frames and racks are overbuilt. That's kind of catastrophizing. Unlikely, but arguably an improvement just due to more future serviceability. So as we mentioned here briefly with the smart system, the R14, the S10 variants, smart system, and quickly you can see what this lovely kiosk system looks like. There is an electronic bike lock that is included with that. There is also an alarm. There's also optional GPS tracking. Worth noting, you do have to have a subscription to Flow Plus to use that, but it's, you know, arguably a cool little feature. Another thing about the smart system is it does also have this USB power port, so you kind of can harness the power of your potentially dual batteries to do a little extra charging, which I think is a really cool little add-on. You know, never hurts to have a little extra power wherever you're going. We rely a lot on devices these days, so more power is better. Belt drive on a couple models, R14, the roll-off version, also the P00, which is a Enviolo belt-driven System 2 bike. Like I said, has all those great new frame upgrades, just like, you know, the R14 and the S10. They have also changed up the kickstand a little. The kickstand's a little wider from stock. Honestly, it's good, no complaints. Added stability, why wouldn't you want it, especially with a bike that has new and increased capacity. So overall, great stuff. Super powerful brakes on all these models. Why wouldn't you want it? You're carrying extra cargo, you're carrying extra weight, better brakes, that's a better time. Worth noting again, ABS only on the R14 and the S10 variants, which are the smart system compatible. There is a module that is monitoring and sensing the brake and the movement and your speed, and it is not available on the System 2 e-bike system from Bosch. Of course, suspension fork, we all know that. The adjustable stem, that's all pretty well the same. Shock absorbing seat post is obviously an optional thing. It's not on every single one. It comes naturally on the R14 and the S10. They also have opted to remove that kind of handle, if you remember the seat. Honestly, it kind of was misleading, that handle, because it made people want to lift the bike by the handle. So I think it's actually a good call that they got rid of it. Let's talk about Bosch's commitment. First of all, Tern has a potentially increased warranty if you register your bikes. Good warranty, good support. So when you register your bikes with Tern, it's a 10-year warranty. This applies to all GSDs, all their bikes they're making. What I really do appreciate, and what's worth noting, so we're talking a lot about Bosch. So they guarantee, though, they stock, they support a minimum of 7 years from the date of purchase, which is fantastic. So when folks hear this an update and they see, oh, the System 2 is getting phased out, and they're seeing the smart systems coming in, they think, ooh, maybe that means they're phasing out the e-bike System 2. That doesn't mean that, because we see half of the new version, the Gen 3 GSDs, are coming with the same system from the last system. So Bosch systems are all good. They're just variable for their quality. These are all using the cargo line systems. Just System 2 is neat, nifty, fun little added features, that tracking option, you know, the lockable stuff. They're very cool, I love those. But yeah, also Bosch is great for aftercare support, also from our perspective, because we have locally available, good support, good access to training for all our mechanics regularly. Because obviously e-bike stuff tends to be a little more techy. We do need to keep up to date on it. So it's a very good thing to think about when you're shopping for an e-bike. Just aftercare and support, which is probably one of those things that people often overlook when they're shopping for any cargo bike or any electric assist bike. All right, quickly, we're going to take a little look at the R14, S10, P00, and the P10 models. Like we said before, the R14 here, that is going to be your roll-off equipped smart system. That is kind of your premium option. We also have here the S10, we also have the P00 and the P10. So again, the P10 indicates a derailleur system, 10 speeds. Similarly, the S10 derailleur system, 10 speeds. S10 smart system, P10 regular Bosch System 2, or e-bike System 2, we sometimes call it. Sometimes it's just called Bosch system. R14, roll-off equipped, 14 speed, kind of all your premium options. That's, I mean, beautiful bike. If you've ridden a roll-off, you know. If you haven't ridden them, worth checking them out. I suspect probably one of the new workhorse and likely bestsellers will probably be the P00. It has, so 00 indicates it's Enviolo. So it's NVOLO equipped, which means it's a continuous gearing. So no thinking about what gear are you in, you just kind of turn that dial, see where it feels good, and go from there. That ease of use combined with Bosch's assist system, again, pedal assist, you set it and kind of forget it. You can crank it up a little more if you want a little extra punch, but it's a super powerful system, also really user-friendly. I think if I was changing the spec to make it perfect for me, I really do like the thud buster, that little suspension C-post. Something you could also address after the fact if you really wanted that upgrade, so it's not a deal killer. But I also do appreciate that they're kind of maintaining some really cost-effective variants on these bikes. So I think it's a very good thing to kind of draw your attention to. We're gonna also kind of take a quick look at the compare function. So for fun, we're gonna do a comparison of the S10 and we'll do a comparison of the P00. So you can see this has popped up. We can compare two bikes, hover over here, bring that open, and we can take a look at our comparison. And you can see right up top, you can see which bikes you selected. You can remove them from comparison if you've accidentally clicked something and you don't want it. I have done up to 4 bikes with this comparison. Honestly, it gets a little confusing with that many because it will start to kind of feel a little jumbled. It's pretty dense, of course. If you have questions and need help kind of navigating the system, it's pretty user-friendly, but if you don't know the bike lingo, it can be a little overwhelming. So if we kind of scroll down, you can see it shows here the Canadian MSRP. You can see the colors available in each option. It shows the speeds, and you'll notice it's blank on the P00, and the reason for that, again, continuously variable. It's just a percentage of help. It's not actually a specific indicating 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, or up to 14 for the roll-off comparison. It's a really interesting system. If you've never tried an NVOLO, I'd really recommend trying them. I also do stress internal hubs are fantastic for maintenance with an electric assist system. On top of that, you get the benefit of belt drive. Belt drives are fantastic for these. Again, if we're drawing the parallels with motorcycles, a lot of modern premium motorcycles, they don't use chains anymore. They usually use belts, just like they have ABS, a lot of the premium motorcycles on the market, just like you can have it here. Another thing we haven't actually addressed is fantastic lighting on all these bikes. Again, you can kind of look at all the specifics. I'm not gonna bore you with all the details, but again, can be kind of helpful if you're wondering for weight. So capacity for weight, really worthwhile to kind of look through. They do provide gear inches. Again, this is kind of like the nerdier side of this stuff. Gear inches is a calculation that can be done for a current bike. So if you have a regular bike right now and you're looking to compare and kind of wondering how that stacks up with the gearing of these bikes, it might be worth checking out. That being said, obviously you have assist, it's a larger bike, it obviously probably weighs more than a standard bike or a standard e-bike because it is a cargo bike, albeit small. It is, for some people, they have very particular taste on how they pedal, how they like to ride their bikes. So it's something to consider if you are shopping. Again, wouldn't get stuck in that minutia. Best thing to do, try it out. Do a test ride. It's the best thing to kind of relax your mind, see if you like it. It's an easy way to rule out an option or, choose your final choice. Again, this is pretty consistent. We've chosen 2 of the modern variants, but what you can also do, of course, is if you go into bikes, we can choose, we can see all the bikes. And if we see all the bikes, we can actually add to the comparison a previous generation of GSD. Here we have Quick Haul D9, beautiful Quick Hauls, HSD, and here we have the S10, actually S00, S00. We'll add that to the comparison as well. So let's compare 3 bikes. And I think for simplicity, we're actually gonna remove one of the new ones. The P00 and the S00LX are both NVOLO equipped. That 00 always indicating NVOLO. Again, you can see actually the price points of all these. This is referring to a single battery variant. So again, I briefly skimmed on this. One thing that has changed with all new bikes, longer wheelbase. Not significant. I'd say arguably a lot of the benefits of the compact overall size and scale of this bike have maintained entirely the same. But a little extra space, particularly if you're doing double kids on the back with double seats, that's when you really start to see how, it's quite a compact system. But overall, I think we're really excited about the new updates. Don't worry, we're still supporting, as will Bosch support, all of this original version Bosch System 2. And I also, if you're on the fence, you're curious, we will have some crossover once we see our first shipment of the Gen 3 GSD. So if you want to do a little back and forth comparison, the Gen 2 will be a way to save a little bit of money for now. But if you want those kind of premium smart system features, they're pretty neat. It's worth checking them out, trying them in store, see if you like ABS, see if you like these kind of new high-tech solutions. Of course, we're super excited for this update. I think they're all very thoughtful, well received. Love the Stow deck as well. That is probably my absolute favorite accessory. Of course, accessories, briefly, pretty well almost all are going to carry over. The decks and the wide decks is really the difference to the Stow deck in the newest version, but we have the CMT mounts on the front, that frame mounted, transporter is kind of the main one, but we have a whole variable accessory range for all of these. All your top deck rear mounted accessories are also going to maintain all compatibility, which is a complete carryover, which is great because I know most people are turned on to Tern mainly because of the accessory ecosystem. I think that's one of the reasons they've been so successful for us as well as all over the world. Of course, if you have any more questions, like I said, please send them in the comments, or if you want to drop us a line, you can always email us. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.